And so we're going to start with, I don't recall who had this example about the suitcase export or suitcase trading. Whether you, okay. Where, and here's a great example, right? You just returned from the US or the UK. And so, what is the name of the cream? I think, was it you? The product, the brand? Olive oil for the hair. Okay. So you just arrived from the US, visited your cousin, and you arrive at Kutuka, right? Now, when you came back from the US, you got a couple of stuff, a couple of gifts and everything, and you've seen that at Kotoka you have things like this. Do you have anything to declare, or you have nothing to declare? Typically, and please answer. You can just say which way you go. Where do you go to? Oh, you go to customs. You declare. Yes. But oh yes, because they've changed Kotoka now. Yes. Okay. So yeah, Kotoka has changed that process now. They just want to check everybody. More often than not at airports, you choose. Do you have something to declare, or you have nothing to declare? And more often than not, where do we go to? Let's be honest, guys. Nothing to declare, right? Okay. So even when there's something to declare, like, nah, I'm not in the mood to unpack my bags. So we go nothing to declare. And then the customs officer comes and says, young man, let me look through your bags here. And then they go to my bags, and here they see first thing ivory, a lot of cash. Let's reset. Okay. And then um, packs and packs and packs of cigarettes. And these are what is in my bag. Of course, the customs official would look at me like this. Now, this is an American customs guy. He looks very happy, right? No? Oh, man. Because I'll be panicking. No, no lie about that. But now, also imagine what's going to happen to you if. So imagine what's going to happen to you if you're the business owner, right? And this is a business trip. Imagine that you're going to a conference. You've been invited to Davos to come and present some of your products, and you just landed at Zurich. And here's what's happening. It you know, we've spoken about reputation and all of that. Things like this could lead to a lot of things, including jail time, including fines. I don't need to go into too much. We've just discussed that in the last session, right? And that's the thing that customs compliance is all about, and understanding what is customs looking for. In doing all of this, what customs looking for. So we're going to start by reviewing an introduction to customs, what's the whole purpose of customs, what they do, and then we're going to also look at the automation and some charges that comes from customs, or charges from that you may incur because of conducting international trade. Again, objectives threefold. I told you I like threes. We're going to, at the end, you should be able to explain the relevance and the importance of customs and how it applies to your business. You should also be able to understand how automation can support you when you're trading internationally. When I say automation here, I'm actually going to show you a website that you can use free of charge to register, use, and all that kind of stuff. And then explain what determines your customs charges, right? Let's jump straight into an introduction to customs. As usual, I like videos. Am I right with the video this time around? Am I right? Yes, I'm right. Just one moment here.
So, you're a collector of retro sneakers. You love the styles, the fabrics, the history, and in your latest search online, you spotted a pair of Nike Air Max 1 from 1987. Pristine, brand new with tags, and only $350. Bargain. There's just one small problem. They're in the USA. And you live in Singapore. You grab your credit card, click buy it now, and just wait for your trainers to magically arrive, right? What really happens is with that one click, you have set off a whole series of activities. Time to see the world through our eyes. Whether you're buying one pair for you or 500 for your shop, when you agree to buy goods from another country, you become an importer. As an importer, you have to deal with customs, and that means a customs invoice. All vital information to help your shipment make its way through customs. But sometimes duty needs to be paid. Now hang on, you're thinking duties? Customs. What does all this mean? Well, they're all part of global trade. They're ways of doing business that have been around since the days of the Silk Road. An ancient network of trade routes connecting the East and West through dozens of countries. It became an accepted practice or custom for merchants to pay local leaders a price to trade in their lands. Over time, this custom became a duty. A scale of payments was agreed according to the value of a trader's goods, a tariff. This is the first recorded one, from Palmyra, modern-day Syria, showing rates for all kinds of items. 2,000 years later, and the purpose of tariffs has hardly changed. So customs are simply a charge for doing business in another country. And how are we doing with your sneakers? Remember tariffs? They're set by individual governments depending on what's important to their economy. Even so, most countries have a limit below which no duty is charged. This limit is called the de minimis value. In Singapore, the de minimis is equivalent to $300 US, which means you will need to pay duty before you can get your hands on those sneakers. How does your customs authority know how much to collect anyway? Remember the customs invoice? Exactly. While those sneakers are taking off from the US, we send a digital copy of the invoice ahead to the customs authority at its destination, so the goods can be cleared and the duty calculated before the goods even touch down. As a customs broker, we'll handle that on behalf of the customer too. No problems here though, thanks to another big secret of international trade, these three little letters. Called an Incoterm, it's short for International Commercial Term. It's one of a set of globally accepted terms for the most common agreements between buyers and sellers. This one stands for Delivered Duty Paid, which means your seller in the US is responsible for all the costs, including the import duties on your sneakers. Result. So this is what really happens when customers make an international trade, big or small. They enter a world of customs, tariffs, duties, and more. Or rather, we enter it for them. After all, we are the international specialists.
All right. Um, Thoughts on the video? Any things that piqued your interest? That was, that you realized or learned or took note of from the video? Anyone? Yes. Okay.
When I buy or I'm sending just a product to another country, it's normal. But from what I've seen, just a product, you must follow the normal protocols and pay the right duties. It doesn't matter the quantity.
100%.
That's my, yes.
100%. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? DDP? The, please, the mic. Yeah, thank you.
which means that the buyer is paying for all the duties. Oh, sorry,
No.
the seller pays all the
Yes,
duties.
yes, absolutely. Incoterms. So something we're gonna jump into here, um, which you remember the thing we did about the sales contract, the transport contract, the brokerage contract. That's something that would go into your sales contract or the commercial contracts. Very important, especially for you, right? For on our side, the Incoterms affects the buyer and the seller, consigner, consignee, right? And I'll take one more thought. Anything else that you picked up? Yes. Is there a mic?
Kind of more of a question. Yeah. So there have been times where I ordered something online, and when it arrived in Ghana, I had to pay extra. I'm guessing that's it's part of the duties.
Yes. So that is something that's coming from a combination of things. You remember there was the undervaluation parts in the previous session. Customs could sometimes look at it and say, oh, the commercial value that's declared here is not in line with market price. We value it at, instead of $200, we value it at $2,000. So there's an adjustment on the duty payable, right? That's one side. Another side could be that sometimes it could be additional charges that was incurred during transit and something that now has been passed on to you. But usually elements like that is declared in that Incoterm, based on the Incoterm agreed between consigner, consignee. When I say consigner, consignor, N-O-R, is the sender. Consignee is a receiver. It's not always a receiver, but then the person you're shipping it to. Yeah. Did anyone hear something about de minimis in here? Yes? You know what it is? No? De minimis value. Very nice. The minimum value below which the shipment you can receive it without paying duty, right? I think I believe in Ghana it's $200. Yes, in Ghana it's $200. So the product is valued $200 or less. There's no duty payable on it, right? And because of that, people try and be funny about, I want to adjust my product to be at the minimum value. And that's when customs will come and say, let us show you how automation works. Because from our side, we do have systems internally that says that HS code X of this good description, market value is here, and yours is here undervalued. Right? So we pick it up. If you think we pick it up, you think customs doesn't. It's picked up. And that's how come, again, sometimes you pay that extra thing there. Cool? All right. Very nice. So let's talk a little bit about customs and international trade. At the end of the day, here's why customs is important. They act as a control agent and also, to some extent, enforcement authority for international trade and regulation laws, right? You cannot do international trade without customs, so you need them to regulate that. Now, you always want to ensure that you are compliant with customs regulations so that you can trade. There are a couple of things that customs are involved in beyond just making our lives difficult, right? For one, I think, I'll jump into it, but then for one, there are a couple of responsibilities customs has, which includes making sure that the interests of the country, in this case, the interests of Ghana, is taken into account. Otherwise, you see certain things like dumping. Has anyone heard of dumping before? if you've ever seen bend down boutique, Fus line, Fus. A lot of us growing up, Fus was life, right? Until you come to realize the actual effects of it on the domestic economy and also on on the well-being of the country as overall. Somebody else is simply dumping their garbage here. That's really what it is. To a large extent, customs plays a role in that one. But then I wonder what you think are some of the other role responsibilities of customs, Ghana customs. Any ideas? Responsibilities of customs. No, it's just like we had Banku for lunch, eh?
They check duties on goods.
Absolutely. They are ensuring that the right duty is collected. Any other ideas? I'll probably take like two more. Smuggling, spot on. Preventing smuggling,
Okay, customs also
yes.
helps with ensuring the quality of the products.
100%. Making sure that the quality of products that we get in Ghana is right. Yes, you want to continue? Yeah.
So there was this time I traveled to South Africa,
Yes.
and I've had bad experiences with their food. So I carried like onions and some small things just
Yeah.
to go and cook. And when I got to the airport, it was seized. I want to know if the team in charge of seizing, because that one is, I'm not really shipping or selling, like it's ingredients, it's food. I'm going to eat it. But it was taken. Does that have something to do with customs?
Yes. So maybe an element of customs that includes there's an area in customs that regulates food, the movement of food cross border. Usually it falls under the whole phytosanitary area, right? Because sometimes certain food elements or certain foods have pests or mites or certain things inside them. Other times, it could be that the food may have been grown using some chemical products that they don't want in their country, right? And things like this, they will seize it, right? For you, you may not think much about it, but then usually you'd see that at those ports, you see that there's port health, not just port health. What the name of these guys? The ones that do food security at the airports and land plant and quarantine. Thank you. That to make sure that you are not bringing in any funny things. Sometimes the products you're bringing in can be grown in the country you're going into and would be an invasive species, which means that it is going to actually destroy the local fauna that you have in there. So that's why, and that, again, something that the border authorities, customs in some way or form, plays a role to secure this. Hello? Sorry, at the back. Any question? Point at the back. Okay.
Is it Ghana or where? So, yes, you have been there. I saw people, they seize yam. Yam, they seize it several times. And so I think it's part of them that, but people have been shipping, I shipped yam before to South Africa, but I don't know the reason if you pick single one, they seize it at the airport. Their dogs will be coming, and they'll be coming, yes.
Again, there's and keep in mind the things you should keep in mind versus did you declare it in the sense of did you take it and put it in your bag and suit and just la 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 la, or did you export it following the right procedure? Right? Like again, keep these things in mind. They are also protecting the local economy there, right? There's a lot of people in South Africa, for example, and other parts of the world from West Africa, and they want yam. I'm based out of South Africa. I want plantain. I'd buy plantain about this much, 5 fingers, almost equivalent of 250 cities. Huh? Cities, Ghana cities. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I'm lucky. If I'm lying, this is not a size that you see in the Ghanaian market, right? Because it's coming in at a premium. So there's a reason behind them doing this. The same way that, and in following the right protocol, they're also ensuring that their economy is protected, right? Um, it goes towards protecting the border, revenue collection. But remember earlier, the first sessions I said the main purpose of customs is not just to make money. They have a whole lot of things to do. Yes, revenue collection is a part of it. It's meant to support the domestic economy. But there are other things of also protecting cultural heritage. So you can't just, for example, fly into a country. At some point, there was this issue of people coming in with it was a kente, like a fake kind of kente into Ghana, right? Say again, the printed one. Yes. Now, what's the effect of doing that? We end up destroying the guys in Bonri, right? And that's where their role also comes in. Where is it? Cultural heritage. Other places, you saw the image of the um, the tusks, the ivory. In East Africa, even if you have jewelry that is made of ivory, you are done for. You'll deal your case whilst you're in prison because of poaching. It, even if we don't care, if it's fake, even, you're finished. They don't joke about certain things like that. So it's important to be aware of these things. And customs would rigorously enforce these things. There's also the elements of prevention of narcotics and terrorism, enforcement and compliance of trade agreements, pretty much enforcing the law, right? So there's a whole lot of things that customs does, including the protection of the border. Customs does not do hello. Customs does not do immigration, yeah, but then they do have a lot of other things that they engage in. Cool. Questions? Yes.
I have a question concerning the enforcement of and compliance with trade agreements. When we talk about the African Free Trade Agreements, yes, customs, from what you are saying, is supposed to enforce this agreement into being, but there've been scenarios where you are trying to follow this, like maybe you're at one border trying to enter another border with your products, and it doesn't look like the African free trade thing, whether they are not aware of it or it's just not working in that particular country. Yes, especially the Ghana, Togo. It's like it doesn't really work
Yeah.
along those lines.
So you're spot on, and I think a lot of you have experienced challenges of this nature before, right? When it comes to international trade, unfortunately, there's many layers to it. There's a couple of projects that we're also working on with the UN that is agreements are made at the capital city, but it is not implemented at the border. And bridging that gap is a march in hell, right? Unfortunately, there are factors at play that limits entrepreneurs, and I'm watching my words here carefully because it's a very gray area, and businesses and countries from benefiting from the opportunities that have been made available on paper, right? So it's going to take a lot, and I'll call it as it is because this is something we are actively working on. It's going to take a lot for what has been agreed on paper to be translated on practice at the border, right? It requires political will. It requires capital investments. It requires a lot of retraining. And truth be told, a change in mindsets, right? And to a large extent, we are not yet there. You can choose whichever one that is not yet there, but then that's for you to decide and add your own. But we are not yet there. We are doing a lot of talking. Yeah? Okay. Exciting times now, but that was too serious. So, moving on from what customs is all about and going into some of the trends that we are seeing and changes that we are seeing in customs. For one, we are seeing a higher focus on security of supply chain. Don't think too far back, think only as recently as 2019, 2020. There was a big change and switch in terms of how customs are securing and enforcing security in supply chains, right? Um, Especially when it comes to smuggling and so on. Fake products coming into a country. And personal story, I do not like certain anti-malarial medications because some of them nearly killed me, give or take about a decade ago. Not going to mention names, but then I still see the products in the markets, right, today. So I'm like, yeah, well, now something went wrong there, but it is what it is. Now things have improved, right? Another thing that's changing is the risk-based approach for customs controls and inspections. What does risk-based approach mean? It means that there's a lot of things coming in and going out. I'm not necessarily going to, how can I put it, inspect every single product. It's not every single product I'm going to inspect or I'm going to stop. There are certain areas, again, you're going to use a lot of big data, you're going to delve into the data and identify certain things that these product categories or HS code numbers usually have problems. Or this product of this kind of description usually has problems. So they introduce like a red light system, a traffic light system. Red meaning that absolute stop. Amber means, here for inspection, random inspections here and there. Green means let it flow, let it just keep going. A lot of times you'll see that they also introduce AEOs, authorized economic operators, if anyone is familiar with those. Anyone? Authorized economic operators? No? So these are typically economic enterprises or businesses that customs have given, they've given you the benefit of the doubt. You can bring in a lot of equipment, so a lot of products. I think I was speaking with you, yes, with you earlier on the import side, where you can bring in a lot of equipment, and to some extent, the customs officers themselves are sitting in your facility because of the contribution to the economy that your work is doing, right, kind of thing. Usually you'd see large multinationals or businesses or mines or stuff like that. But then that's the idea of using a risk-based approach. If you have red flagged that, oh, usually you say you're exporting water, but what's inside is not water. Every single shipment of yours will be stopped and inspected, and you will pay for that inspection. Again, if you're stopped for inspection, there's a charge for inspection. If customs inspects your shipments, there's a charge for that. I don't know what the charge is in Ghana, but then inspections by customs is not free, right? Yeah, they're inspecting your cargo. You pay for your own inspection. And then you see that there's also a lot of a stronger collaboration between supply chain partners. What does this mean? It also means that customs, it's saying supply chain partners here, but what I want to emphasize is among customs organizations. GRA, Ghana Customs, Nigeria Customs, Burkina Customs, Togo, South Africa, Egypt, the UAE, the Americans, they are talking to one another. And so when you've declared something that is moving from the US to South Africa, the US to Ghana, sorry, from Ghana to the US, there's already been a pre-arrival notification sent to the US. The US knows what's coming. PAP, it's triggered from the time it hits the plane, right? When bill of lading is issued. Pre-arrival to the US. So I stand to be corrected, but then at least out of certain countries, before the shipment departs the country, before it's loaded onto the plane, a notification is sent to the US. They know what is coming before then. They can stop the shipment before it even enters the plane. Yeah. Once they pick it up, it triggers already. So the customs guys know what's coming and what they're going to stop already, way ahead of time, right? It triggers denied party. And you remember Morris spoke about denied party stuff? I'm going to now give an example within DHL. We can type in, once we receive a shipment from you, we type in your business name or your name or whichever. Before we've even finished saving it, we know whether you are cleared to ship or you're a denied party across every single database in the world, whether of the Office of Foreign Assets Control in the US or by Interpol or by whatever. And we are not the only ones that have systems like this. And customs guys also have that, right? There's a lot going on in terms of collaboration and IT solutions as well. Oh, I could have just gone through. All right. Now, the effects of all of this means that, for one, we are beginning to see better record keeping with customs. There's a lot of digitalization things and initiatives that's going around in customs. And the reason why is because there's a transfer of information. That is why when the shipment is picked up, the Americans already know, because from our side to Ghana Customs, to the airline, to the US Customs and Border Control, it's all set up already, right? So by the time we've picked up and the car is still stuck in traffic, they know what's coming and they know what to search for in the bag or, whatever it is. All right. Some common customs issues that we see: paperwork. Either it's missing or it's incomplete, right? The descriptions, invoice description, and that's why you'll see that of the first paper that we gave, the last slide is a commercial invoice. We're going to play a little game over there. Commodities that are restricted or prohibited. Restricted or prohibited, for example, the ivory jewelry I spoke about at the beginning, or firearms, ammunition, gunpowder, some kinds of herbs and plants, yam if it's not well, or dried fish sometimes, depending on the jurisdiction you're going to, pork for some areas, it depends. You are sending samples and you did not send mutilated samples. Does everyone know what a mutilated sample is? Ooh, interesting. You said samples. It wasn't mutilated, nothing. Okay, let me use the example of shoes, right? So I was going to ask for somebody's shoe, but it's fine. Let me stand at further back. So if I'm sending shoes and I want to send, for example, shoes to Taco Enterprise in Japan, and I'm saying it's a sample, I've declared it as a sample, I need to mutilate the sample. So I need to put a hole inside. I need to destroy the product. It shouldn't be able to be used, right? Because you want to show that this is a sample. If you say it's a sample and then they see it's not destroyed, they can go to your website and see, this product is $250. You pay VAT and duty on it. The importer will pay for that, right? That's what the mutilation speaks about. And many times you see that this is a bit of a headache for a lot of entrepreneurs because they don't know these things, right? But customs, like, the penalty is more money, right? And then also the receiver doesn't want to pay duties. So, absolutely. so you. Sorry, do you wanna explain it?
And so if I'm sending this, my peanut butter, as a sample, I can probably just pinch some holes here around it. It will still cover, though, because the buyer would have seen a picture of it, but they will not be able to sell it. You can't sell it without. What are you going to use to cover this? Why do you easily get it? You cannot get it. It is not. Yes, but you can't easily get this but cover. I am telling you, and you can bet me. You can't.
So for me, with I think you really don't have to do anything because the hygienic nature of it is also very important. You just have to go below the $200 something mark. Yeah, that's what I think.
What I have experienced is sometimes for my company, when we are receiving samples of ingredients that are when we are receiving ingredients that are just samples, let's say for R&D work or anything, for example, flavors, it doesn't come in a big drum. It comes in just a very small bottle. And on the packaging, it's stated that it's just a sample. But it's not a quantity that you can use to produce commercial quantities, just something small. That
Okay.
is what I'm used to.
Thank you. You are very correct. You don't always have to mutilate everything, okay? If it comes in small sizes, it's okay. But in the situation where that is what it is, like the example he gave, you bring a shoe, it can be resold. With that, they will need to see that hole on it to show that nobody can wear it. But any other, like yours, there's no need even punching a hole on it. If you bring maybe just one or two, or maybe even if it's a sample and you have, let's say, 10 different of it, okay? And they are different. So one of each, it could also pass for a sample, okay? You did? No. And on the invoice, it said samples. Yes, on the invoice, you should state that this is a sample with no commercial value. Okay, so whatever you place on your commercial invoice or on your invoice, you should state that this is a sample with no commercial value. Okay, so they might decide to go to your website to go check if indeed whatever it is you are sending is. But for as long as you've stated and it's to somebody, you can always justify. You understand? But you don't necessarily have to destroy your container and all that, not necessarily. Okay.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
Commercial value is different from value. Yes. It will show you. So I don't want to jump the gun because we will treat commercial invoice to and what the commercial invoice will need to address and all that. Okay, so that you either pay duty or not pay duty. Okay, so thank you. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, the hole they are placing on it will not destroy it. No, but you can't sell it. You can't sell it to anybody because it has those holes on. You can't sell it. But you can wear it, you can feel it, you can do everything. Oh, no. He gave an example and said you will put a hole on it.
so
No, you will put a hole on it.
if you buy a shoe and there's a hole here,
Here, or sometimes it is beneath
or
it,
even under,
underneath it. Yes.
you'll think twice before
You,
But
nobody
then-
will buy a shoe.
But
Like
then
that.
it needs to be visible. Like it needs to be somewhere that is visible, right? Because sometimes, again, there are some products that are quite valuable, and if you are saying it's a sample, you need like customs want to see that it's been mutilated. So mutilated means that you've destroyed it. It doesn't hold. You've destroyed it.
Yeah, you have. If you place a hole on a shoe, you've
It's
destroyed
destroyed.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Look.
For as long as it cannot be resold. Okay, you can
Yes.
say that.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Okay. Chairman.
Okay. Makes sense.
Chairman, I beg one question.
Okay.
But the sample thing,
Yeah.
does it have something to do with weight as well, or weight do not matter?
Okay. It has to do with weight too. Okay, so let me clarify this. Custom duties are calculated on cost, insurance, and freight. Okay, so the item could be a sample and it is, let's say, $10. But the weight, you paid freight of, let's say, $500. When they put the two together, it goes beyond the threshold. So duties will be paid on that particular sample. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the freight component. So like we were saying, it has to, if it's something small, you are okay. But sample does not necessarily mean you will not pay duty if it goes beyond the threshold. Okay, so they put the three together to determine the value on the item. Okay, how much duties you are supposed to pay on it. So if you bring something $10 and you paid, let's say another $50 or something, they will allow you to go for free. But for as long as you paid 500, you pay something on it, they will calculate custom duties on them. Okay. No, okay. Okay, the minimum value in Ghana it is 200, but like he's saying, the Chinese people have managed to destroy that, so that any shipment coming from China, irrespective of the value, they will have to scrutinize whatever it is and scrutinize the commercial invoice to be sure if the value on it is indeed 200. Okay, with what he's saying, I'm saying that let's say a package weighs 100 kilos, and you declare it as sample. Yes, it could be a sample. And the value on it could be, let's say, $50, which qualifies that it should be released under the de minimis. But there's a duty component, which is calculated on cost, insurance, and freight, CIF. So the cost is the $50, but the freight that you paid, because of the weight, DHL will charge you based on the weight. So how much you paid on the weight, let's assume it is $500. With that, they will not release the shipment to you, although it might be a sample. Because the duty you'll be paying will be on $510. You understand what I'm saying? So the CIF value also plays a very important role on samples. That's why we say samples does not necessarily mean it is free. Okay, it does not necessarily mean, but with the small packages, they are allowed. But the fact that they are huge and you paid so much on it, you will pay duty on them. Okay.
Think of it in a logic that more often than not, customs would believe an SME that would benefit from samples, sending of samples, don't need to send a sample that is that heavy
Huge.
or mass or volume, whichever way, right? So factor that in mind. Sometimes they're also playing a mind game, not a mind game, but then they are applying their mind in that sense, right? Looking at ways and means. Because keeping it again, remember at the beginning we said this is a very old industry. Everybody tries and figure out a way. So they also try and figure out a way to block everything. Yeah, I love this dialogue. Thank you. All right, so in some countries also you'd see that the receiver needs to prepay duties and taxes, or even sometimes just pay duties and taxes, assuming it's like a DAP or DPU or whichever shipment of that nature. And the receiver says, I don't want to. There's a confusion between, in terms of the Incoterms, right? That, yeah, no, I'm only doing, how can I call it? XWorks. I'm only doing XWorks, and then the receiver says, no, I want DDP, and it's back and forth, and then the shipment is already on the way, or they said DAP, and at this point, from the logistics service provider standpoint, there's a disputes between the two of you, and that's why I said Incoterms. It's a fight between consignor and consignee. From our side, our contract is whoever reached out to us to do the delivery, right? So if you are the consignee, the consignor that said, DHL, pick up this package from here and deliver it there, that's our agreement with you. And if you are fighting between shipper and consignee, who is responsible for paying, as standing time or demurrage charges are going up, the person that reached out to us is the one that's going to pay. However you sort it out with your customer is not with us. And that's why that Incoterm thing, it's a commercial term, it sits under your sales or commercial contracts, not with the transporter. I use the DHL example here, but that cuts across all transport providers. So don't get it twisted, please. The Incoterms. Yeah?
So with these eco terms, if the product comes and the product do not meet your specification and you decide to reject it like upright, are you wrong?
So in terms that you buy a product,
Yeah, and DHL, who is a middleman, doesn't have any issue between the consignor and consignee, and the
Yeah.
product has come and I have issue with the product. Can't I reject it upfront to the carrier like you
so
brought it, so you return?
you can reject it, right? You can choose not to sign the proof of delivery, right? And then from our side, we are dealing with if the consigner, the sender, asks DHL to come and deliver, we take it up with that consigner, not with you. We have no dealings with you. We don't know you, right? We have no contractual obligation with you. And the same thing applies with a lot of other logistics service providers. Our agreements and our contract is with who we have that contractual agreement with. More often than sometimes it is a consigner, sometimes it's a consignee. It depends. But then eventually we'd want to have visibility on what are the commercial agreements you've had between each other, right? So if, for example, the consigner is the one that said, deliver to you, sorry, what's your name? Stephen. Deliver to Stephen Inc. in Ghana. And we picked up from China in Shenzhen. We brought it to Ghana. Stephen Inc. says, no, the product has been damaged. It's not of the same service quality. DHL shows that, yeah, no, we didn't cause the damage. You refused to take it. It's now sitting in storage. Now we just go back to our consigner and say, my guy, right? And so in doing that, demurrage is going up from their side. They need to resolve it with you. The faster they resolve it with you, the demurrage is done. But then we don't know you. So same way, we will not come and chase you to pick up. No, and so again, I'm going on and on about this because many times a lot of people forget that this is not a job of the logistics guy. We don't get involved in that side, right? That's your commercial. Remember the contracts? That's your commercial contracts there. We are sitting in the transport contracts. Cool? No, and transport contracts and sometimes the brokerage contracts. But then we don't sit in the commercial side. Fantastic. All right, so I think you've already given a couple of examples here. So I'm just going to jump past this area here. And talk about some of the documents that I needed. So we've already spoken about, I don't know if we have, bill of entry or customs imports or export bill of entry. Now, this is a document that usually you receive from customs, showing you, and again, this is your customs contract, one of your customs contracts, right? Showing you that we have received shipments BE 2011145, which is a shipment of shea butter in this quantity of this commercial value with this HS code number, da 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 da. That's what the bill of entry does, right? Then you also have areas where sometimes you may need an import permit. So if you do need an import permit, by all means, it's the customs documents that you need to get on your side. Certificates of origin, it can be used import side, export side. The main thing about certificates of origin here, let me relate this to the AFCFTA and ECOWAS and SACU and all these things. And I'm doing this because usually there's a module you would have done before coming here that speaks about the difference between a free trade agreement, a customs union, and a preferential trade agreement. Yeah? The AFCFTA is a free trade agreement, now called a regional trade agreement, which simply says that we are going to reduce the barriers to trade amongst each other. So I'm Ghana, you're Nigeria, you are Tanzania, you're Kenya, different countries. We all have our duties and stuff that we put in place, and we say that, oh, okay, because we want our people to trade more with each other, we are going to reduce the tariffs. You remember the video, the tariff said the percentage on duty for certain products moving around? We're going to reduce it so that it is easier for Ghanaian people, Nigerian folks, Tanzanians, all of that, to trade and do business with one another. It is cheaper, right, and competitive. But now, how do you prove that my goods are from Ghana? And I think that's the example I was doing with you guys, right? Usually you get a CEO from Chamber of Commerce. No? Chamber of Commerce. So, Chamber of Commerce, yes. So you get the certificate of origin from the Chamber of Commerce. And pretty much what it's simply saying is that this product of shea butter that was made by Maximilian Inc. in Kumasi, Ghana, is made in Ghana, in Kumasi, Ghana. And here's verifiable proof. We can verify that it was made in Ghana. And so when we send it to Nigeria, Nigeria sees, okay, it is true this product is from Ghana, we trust it, so we apply that we don't charge a duty on it. But if it came from India, oh yes, we're going to put the duty on it because it's not from Ghana. That's pretty much what the AFCFTA is doing. They're trying to reduce all these barriers. Long term, it wants to become a customs union. We are not yet there. To your points about the borders earlier, we are far away from there. But that's the ambition. A customs union means that we are like the EU. If something is made in Ghana, I can just drive it straight away to Togo, Benin, Uganda, South Africa, wherever, and there's nothing else. You pay the VAT one time in whichever country it was made, and that's it. Game over. So which means things are cheap. But if we are importing something from somewhere else, the whole continent will put out a tariff to that place. So it's more expensive for them to import to us, right? When we are exporting, we have the power and strength. So we determine the price that we are going to sell out. That's the whole dream of it. That's the dream. We are not yet there, but that's the dream. Cool? And it starts, to a large extent, certificates of origin, proving that your products are from where you say they are from. Cool? We're going to jump into the commercial invoice bit, so I'm going to skip it. Transfer documents, we've spoken about it. House airway bills, bills of ladings for ocean and so on. And then other relevant documents, POP, proof of payments, your commercial invoices, your packing lists, your, all these things. You're familiar with them, right? These are some of the common documents you need for customs. Right? Sometimes you need a manifest also, depending on in which side of the entire logistics chain you are in. But let's dig in on the commercial invoice, because the commercial invoice is one of the areas where we see a lot of action. So we're going to start with a small activity. You'll see that on this sheet here, I think you all got one. If you go to the last page, this side here, again, please, no copying. We are back in class 3. We are back in class 3. On this last page here, I think you all have pens and paper. You all have pens, right? There are 3 things that are missing, and there are 3 things that are wrong. 3 things missing, 3 things that are wrong. I'm going to give it 5 minutes, right? I wanted to, maybe just underline what is missing, right? There are elements that have question marks. For now, disregard the question marks. But then underline the things that are, the places where things are missing, and then put a cross or like an X on the things that are wrong. Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, it sounds like we're all done. Okay, fantastic. Anyone wants to take a first whip at it? What? Yes.
There's no signature. I guess I take one so that people can have the chance.
And then the importance information is a non-applicable. That side.
Looking at the quantity and the unit value, the total value doesn't add up.
Okay, so on the area of the consignee, there's a complete full name, address, details, telephone number. You don't see the telephone number there. I think also the address.
Okay, so I was going to make note of the description. It just says samples, but it doesn't specify what exactly is in the package. The samples, it just says samples.
There's one more. No? So the comment on the value has been made already. Yeah.
Is it the HS code?
Sorry, who said that? Aha. What HS code are you seeing it here? Do you know the HS code that is there?
It's a number though. But
Yes. Very nice. Very nice. So if I'm correct, the HS code here is looking at something about computers, give or take, right? There's another thing that is very weird. Personal gift. Reason for export. Personal gifts and samples and all these things. I think you guys did a fantastic job in picking all these things up, right? And yeah, spot on. Sorry, by the way, all that you guys said, spot on. Very well done. The areas of the total value being completely off, missing information, the signature, all these kind of things. So very well done. Good job. Personal gift over here. How is a personal gift a sample? Kind of thing, right? And I'm going to now jump on to ask the question about HS code, Incoterms. Does anyone know what these are? I think you already started. Do you want to continue?
When they say HS code, it means referring to product codes. Like Coca like this, it has its code and other products. I don't have any idea.
I think that for the Incoterms, it's actually an agreement between the consignor and the consignee, right?
Very nice. So the HS code, the harmonized system of codes, the tariff code has a combination of names. Actually, let me just jump on here. Let's start with that. HS conventions, right? And then we're going to come back to the Incoterm side. And Incoterms, the International Convention of Incoterms, International Commercial Terms, yes. Convention. I'm so stuck on convention. Yes. 1 hour after the forecast set. Okay, now I'm gonna keep it going as quickly as I can so we can wrap it up. Okay. Yes, I am conscious of the traffic here, but some of us we are used to working late. So all right. So the HS codes Um, quickly, we're going to run through. Oops. The HS codes, as shown here, it is a classification of over 5,000 commodity groups. So pretty much every single product you can think of, wig extension, pens, ink, sorry, what is the name of the plastic cover, the top, just the top, the side part, even that has no, even that part has an HS code. Every single thing that you can imagine has an HS code. And by this code, customs is going to classify your products and to a large extent use it for risk assessments, use it to determine duty calculations and all this kind of stuff, right? Now, what haven't I mentioned in this so far? This element over here, if you put more often than not, your logistics service provider will never tell you what your HS code is. That is not our job. We know it, whether it's right or wrong. We have our impression, but it is your product. Because the fights between, oh no, this is a misclassification, is being delayed, what, with customs, can cause a lot of issues because, oh, it was my logistics service provider that told me this. You need to know this. You need to determine this yourself, right? And so I'm going to show you a system that you can use to try and identify these things. You can also Google it, right? The HS code is typically broken down into a chapter, a heading, a subheading, the tariff item, and classification number. The last two digits, this classification number down here, usually changes based on the country. So usually, you're going to see these these first 6 items. Sometimes you actually see 8 in some places, right? But more often than not, you're going to get these numbers first. And these last 4 digits here could change based on where you are shipping to, right? It's important you pay attention to the places you are shipping to and the HS codes that they use in country, because if you misclassify in that sense, you are going to see possibly some delays there. Okay? So that's why knowing your HS is good, is very important. It is your product. The least you could do is also know how they're being classified according to customs. Otherwise, when they penalize you and you don't understand and they come and hit you here, you find yourself wanting. And by that time, it's already too late. Coming to the area of Incoterms. So like I mentioned earlier, Incoterms, we're referring to the commercial terms. Like you mentioned, it's a contract on the sale of the goods. It's between the consignor and the consignee. The transport provider does not get involved in this. We just know what it means. In terms of Incoterms in itself, there are a number of variations in there. Sorry, so the Incoterms in that document, that was the one that was down over here. DDP, DPU, XWorks. I think that's CIF, right? And what it means pretty much determines certain obligations. Who's responsible for what? The transport, insurance, customs. Whose job is what? Where does the risk, who does the risk lie with? When I say risk, if the shipment is stopped by customs, who's paying for it? Whose responsibility, whose obligation? And then, of course, costs, right? Who's paying for what? For the freights, for loading, unloading. So at the beginning, we said handling charges, all that kind of stuff. Warehousing, demurrage, where is that all falling under? That's what's discussed under the Incoterms. So, and sometimes when you are agreeing on the Incoterms with your buyers overseas, you want to then also bring in a conversation of, in terms of, in case of returns, how they're going to be covered, right? There are quite a few Incoterms depending on the mode of transportation. And when you Google, again, Google can be your friend here, you tend to see a picture like this to kind of describe it, right? Starting from the seller can be you, the carrier, the transport provider, the border or ports, right? The ship or plane, the next ports, because keep in mind it is country to country, right? So over here is the exit border. Over here is the inbound, the imports country. So exports country, imports country. The named place, So if you said you're delivering to Accra, Accra where? Accra who? That's the buyer, right? So typically, what you're looking at is there's quite a few, and it varies per mode of transport. We are going to speak about the most important ones, but the F terms, so FAS, FOB, free on board, free alongside ship, are usually ship ocean freight only, right? And then the D terms, many times often, applies for all modes of transport, road, air, ocean, in many instances. The C terms, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, did they use F terms in air freight? No, okay. It's usually the D and C terms, right? Yeah. Usually the C terms, CPT, carriage, insurance, pay to CIP, usually air, so this one's over here, air, ocean, air, ocean, road, all of that. I'm going to dive into the most common ones, okay? DDP, DPU, XWorks, CIF. And a couple of things, let me just make sure if it's not, okay, it's not here yet, so I just want to highlight something about Incoterms. Incoterms are updated every decade, every 10 years, 10, 11 years. I'm saying 10, 11 years because it would come, the new one came out in 2020, the one before that was 2010. But then it could come out like in 2021 kind of thing, but then it's 2020. That's why I'm saying that. Just because it's a new Incoterms 2020 doesn't mean 2010 is dead. So you have to be clear that I'm talking DAP 2020 or DAP 2010, because the kind of fights I've seen for whatever reason, right? But the changes may be so minuscule, and people would use that to their benefits, right? So keep that in mind. Incoterms are updated every 10 years. Next update is 2030. Oh, sorry. Okay, so let's talk about the most common ones. DDP, delivered duty paid, or delivered duties paid. This means that whoever, Max Incorporated, what's your name? Yvonne Incorporated. Yvonne Incorporated buys Awaken Black Soap. Sorry, Max Incorporated buys Awaken Black Soap from Yvonne, right? And I'm buying it DDP. I'm buying it DDP. It means that Yvonne is responsible for, let me go back to this picture over here. You remember this picture? Oh, I think this will be the easiest way. Yvonne is responsible for, this is Yvonne over here. This is me over here. I bought Awaken Black Soap from Yvonne here. I have paid Yvonne for the product. DDP, Yvonne is paying the carrier. She's contracting and paying the carrier. All border costs, export customs clearance, Yvonne is paying. All shipping costs of the ports, all of that stuff, Yvonne is paying. The import customs clearance, VAT and duty, Yvonne is paying. The final leg delivery to me at my door, whether it's at my house or my warehouse door, at my door, it needs to be put here. If this is my door, Yvonne is paying. If anything happens in between, any standing time, demurrage, delay, whichever, Yvonne is paying. That's DDP, right? Some customers want that. I want peace of mind. I'm going to pay you the value of whatever it takes to bring the products to my door, right? Same applies DPU, like delivered place, unloaded. So DPU and DAP, they play in the same field, right? DAP means delivered place. Remember this picture again? Name place. So when you say DAP, you say DAP Accra Central. You say DAP Kumasi Idum, or DAP Idum Kumasi, whichever. You put a named place there. And so it's brought to this place. And if this is, let's say, Kumasi Idum, the logistics guy can come and drop the shipments in this general facility, and I need to go and pick it up, right? That's the DAP side. Deliver at place. So if I would tell, again, I'm telling Yvonne, I've bought. I'm telling Yvonne, deliver only up to here. She's gonna contract DHL in this example to deliver to this place. So I will come here and pick it up. DPU, that's the one deliver unloaded. You don't see it so much, but then unloaded means that DHL will bring the product here, but we will not unload it from the truck. Because unloading typically needs handling, right? Do you need casual workers to come and help unload a cargo? Do you need a forklift? Do you need a pallet jack? Do you need whichever to come do that? And there's a charge to that. There's a cost to doing that, right? So unloaded, same place, same Kumasi Central, Idum, but then I'm not going to, DHL will not unload it. You bring your stuff to come out. If you damage the product during unloading, sorry, if I damage the product during unloading, it's at the risk is on me, right? So remember DDP, there's no risk on me at all. Yvonne bears all the risk. DAP, the risk kicks in for me, the buyer, once the product is here. Same thing with DPU. During offloading, the minute they get it there, during offloading, if there's damage, the risk is on me, not on Yvonne anymore. And I think the last one is CIF. Oh, XWorks. XWorks is the opposite of DDP. I bought from Yvonne. Again, Yvonne is a seller. I bought from Yvonne. It is my responsibility to go to Yvonne's shop front or storefront or warehouse or wherever she says the goods are at and pick it from her door, which means if this is Yvonne's door right here, Yvonne's job is done when she puts the product here. Done. If I go and pick it or not, she's satisfied in terms of her contract. I'm picking it up and paying and telling DHL pick up, bring it to the board, all the way. All risk is on me. Right? So it's important that we understand. Oh yes, finally CIF, cost insurance freight. That's what was being explained earlier, especially when you're looking at duty calculation of the products, the insurance that was applied, and the freight. Right? And again, the reason why people like to undervalue is because the duty calculation takes into account the cost of the product. But now, I hope now you've already seen how undervaluing that cost will take you into that loophole of insurance, of undervaluation, customs compliance, and. But usually, this is where people are trying to beat the game. Quick questions, yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to go back to the customer to say something came up, so you have to pay extra. So is there a range or an estimate which can be used, or would I be given a receipt which I can in turn give to the buyer to prove that this and this happened during the transportation period?
If the buyer bought from you DDP, it is on you. You can go back to the buyer and renegotiate. From us, now you contracted DHL. From our side, now again, it can be anybody. I'm just using DHL as an example just to move faster. From our side, our contract is with you, so we will recoup that cost from you, right? You can go back to the buyer and say, hey, listen, truth be told, this is out of my control. If you don't pay this, I'll be out of pocket. And then they can choose out of goodwill, fine, you can bill it, that way you can bill it back. But from our side, we are dealing with you. It makes sense. If it is XWorks, it is all on them. Then they can come and say, hey, listen, things are tough, the economy is not doing too good. Can you, share this cost, right? Or give me credits for the next shipment I buy from you, something like that.
I also have another question. Has there been an instance where a seller working with you shipped something and then in the middle of the process they asked for it back. And when that happens, do they have to pay extras like in and out, you bringing it back, or DHL is?
So the thing is, once you start the logistics process, it's a continuous system. Once you've gone through customs, it's like going to an airport and you've gone through customs, right? They've cleared it out of the country. The minute it's cleared out of customs, it is no longer in Ghana. It may be sitting at Kotoka, but then technically it is no longer in Ghana. It's like when you go through immigration at the airport, you've left the borders of Ghana the minute you cross that immigration desk, right? You need to re-import it. And now you need to justify to customs why it's coming back. Yeah? It, even in that sense, insurance there's no damage loss or anything like that. So that wouldn't even really be covered by insurance. For whatever reason that you want the product back, it needs to be a business decision. If it gets rejected, then that is like a return. Yeah. So now, ideally, you would have already sorted that preparation during your sales contract start section. Remember the contracts part: sales contracts or commercial contracts, logistics contracts, brokerage contracts. So ideally, you want to already preempt what are the risks, or and already make that agreement during the purchasing. Yeah.
I'm new in the process. So the lady told me not to put my labels because she doesn't want where the items are coming from. Not no, I also comply, but DHL told me advice. Then I sent it there. You guys sent it. They got to Kenya. They rejected it because of the labels. Now it has to come back. DHLs I have to pay back. And when I consider the cost, I'm like, the share matter should go away. So I just left it in Kenya. Yeah. So that's why I'm asking that question. Assuming it's like a whole container and there's something wrong is coming back. Is there a way that we can ensure against that? Because that's a big risk.
In that sense, I'd probably rather come back to you on that and speak to the shipping value guys, because that is now more when I say on a commercial side, it's more of a business decision side from your side, right? More often than not, for such a call to be made, the customers have done a real cost analysis to see, is it worth it to do that, or how can I be recouped? Yeah. Okay, so I can see
so one more here.
Okay, let's take it quickly and then.
Can you just throw a little light, not much time, on the FCA? Is it a free carrier?
FCA.
The free carrier.
Free carrier. Yeah, do you want to take it quickly?
Okay, so with the free carrier, I don't normally it is not something that is being used when it comes to the express field. Okay, yeah, so nothing is carried for free like that. You understand? So let us not throw more light on it. But normally we don't really carry that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
So my question is on the X-Works. So the seller, am I responsible for loading, say, the buyer's truck or anything, or I just leave the product there and he's supposed to load it?
The seller,
yeah.
X-Works.
Yeah.
This is my workshop. This is the gates. Yeah? This is the door. I've put it outside my door. Game over. I've fulfilled my contract. I'm not loading. I'm not doing shingbang. You get it? DAP, for example, I will do everything up until it gets to destination place. But then X-Works, it is, yeah, man, that is, if you can buy from your suppliers X-Works, man, you are. So if you can sell to your customers X-Works, you're solid. Or you need to just do your work and then drop it outside the factory.
I think sometimes we state X-Works, but we don't really know what
yes
goes into it. Yeah.
Right. Ooh. Sorry, I really want to get to showing you this system for the HS codes and all. Okay, FOB, free on board. So usually FOB is used on the ocean side. I think someone also said free carrier at some point. So FOB is usually, you are getting it only up to here, up to ports, right? And then the free carrier also sometimes they are getting it only up into the vessel. My job is done, right? So when they say free carrier, FOB, free on board, it is, sorry, FOB, the shipment is inside here, so it's on the ship. So yeah, so you are paying everything till the shipment is on the ship, set off, to seal off. Is now the responsibility of the buyer. Yeah, and similar to the FCA side. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm conscious of time, so I wanted to ask you guys to do this exercise of the, but then I am conscious of time. So what I'd actually rather ask. Right. Um, I want to rather show you an example. Can anyone just, oh, this is going to be a mission. Can anyone just read any of the cases that they have? So that's the paper that we were sharing out before the start of the session. No, no. Yeah, no. Right now, I just want to even get you to wrap it up. That's what's going on now? Okay, so okay, we're good. Can anyone that has a mic just, you remember this paper that has cases? So can someone just read one of the cases for me? Just raise your hand up and then I can know who to. Okay, all right, perfect. What I'm showing you here is a system called the Global Trade Services Platform. You can, Global Trade Services Platform, so the link to this is tas.dhl.com. TAS, so tas.dhl.com. Okay. And so T for Tango, A for Alpha, S Sierra .dhl.com. And it will ask you to create an account or log in. It's free to create an account, right? Because it's TAS, so T for Tango, A for Alpha. TAS dot DHL.com. So when you, I'm just quickly going to show you how this works, right? Again, it is free to, let me just do this. Let me come out of it completely. Oh, come on. And then show you what it looks like from the get-go. Oh, I'm already logged in, sorry. So it's very simple in a sense that it will ask you, are you a DHL employee or not, right? And it will then open a platform like this. Can you see well enough? Okay. So just simply, don't worry about the My GTS you see at the top there. The TAS will still bring you here, right? But TAS is easier. Would you read a case for me?
Group 4.
Yeah.
You make herbal shampoo and want to send it to a good friend in the European Union. As this is a gift for a good friend, you will take care of all the transportation costs as well as any custom duties that apply. You will prepare all the paperwork for export and import.
Okay. All right, perfect. So we are shipping from Ghana, right? Let's say we are shipping from Ghana. Does it give a country? No. We are shipping from Ghana. So on the system, you see that you have origin destination. I'll type in GH, Ghana. Importing country, we said the European Union. So any country in the EU is a customs union. So regardless of which country in the EU you are shipping to, it attracts the same play. Okay. We are shipping what again for the product? Herbal shampoo. How do we find the tariff for herbal shampoo? I don't know. I can Google, I can type it, I don't know. But I can choose to also click find my product's tariff codes down here. And then type in here herbal shampoo. I've actually never done this on the system before, so we are going to find out together. Okay, so we are seeing the chapter and heading 3305, preparations for use on hair. I can see the next one being 1000 shampoos, preparations of permanent waving, lacquers, da da da. I think I'm going to go with shampoos. Okay, so 330510, and it leaves the rest running. Okay, now let's find the import tariff. We are going to Germany, right? I said Germany. Germany, again, 3305, it runs the same across the world. The last digits may be different. So in Germany, we have shampoos also showing 1000 there, preparations, lacquers, da da da. I'm going to keep with the same here. It's most likely this one here. So I select that. Now at this point, I can then go to the final step here. Still I'm finding the tariffs if I'm happy with everything. Export tariff 330510.00 running out. Import tariff into Germany 330510 running 0. Okay? I can confirm this and I return to my planner. I'm going to add my next additional details. Am I exporting? I'm exporting for commercial reasons. Okay. What is it?
It's a gift.
It's a gift. Okay, there we go. Gift. I am a private individual. It is going to a private individual. Did they give a commercial value? Okay. As it's a gift, what price should I put on it? Say again? From Ghana, yeah, Ghana City. It's shampoo. It's herbal shampoo. 50 cities. Okay. 50 cities. It is a gift. How many am I sending? Oh, not 50. I like that. Very good. Let's say 2, because why not? Okay. Total product value is automatically calculated here at 100 cities. Right? We have cities over here. All right. Let's add other related costs. What would the freight express? Yeah. What would the freight be? Herbal is less than a kilo. Less than herbal shampoo. Let's say it's 500 ml. 850 Ghana cities. Okay. So 850 Ghana city. That would be our freight charge. Are we putting any insurance on this? Say again? No, we are just estimating at this point, right? Yeah. We are estimating at this point because typically at this side, you can look at previous shipments that you've done before. You can call your local DHL contact. Also, the reason why we are doing this in person and not online is so you know who your people are here in Ghana. Because these guys are not sitting too far from here. They're in Ridge, right? Yeah, exactly. So you can call them and bugger them and say, hey, listen. Okay, hence we're just putting 850. Are we putting insurance on this? How much? Germany, yeah. Ballpark, 50 cities. Okay. Any other charges? Yeah. Okay. Who is paying the duties and taxes on this? The shipper. I'm paying. Nice. So we are doing a whole DDP solution. Let's get a plan. Now, you see that we get a pre-shipment plan. Now, keep in mind, this is not make all and be all. This is just to give you a view as to what was going to happen once your shipment sets off. So you already see your first import prohibitions, customs requirements on this. Import prohibitions, let's take a look at it over here. It might be applicable. Scope, this ordinance applies to placing the market of certain dangerous substances, right? The requirements that must be met with this regard contain certain dangerous substances because it's shampoo, right? The controlling authority for this is the Federal Ministry of Environment, Nature Conservation, and Nuclear Safety in Germany. Now, at least you have an idea as to the kind of control that is involved in here. You have the regulation that is propping it up over here, and you have your reference source if you want to read more about it. Okay. That's the first import prohibition you may face. Other obligations you may have down here. The scope is highlighted over here, the scope exception over here, and then general notes about moving this product. It may not be, you may not have any challenges, but now you are aware of the kind of regulation that may be, the way a customs, the customs officer in Germany, the German Customs Authority, how they are going to look at your shipments. This is the lens with which you're going to look at it with. Who the controlling authority is, you can get more information if you want that. And then you have the normal disclaimer that I mentioned that this is just a whichever. Okay, let's move on. This is customs requirements. Landed cost estimates. Landed cost being for everything to be, did it move? Okay. For everything to go that side, we know that total value of products is 100 because it's 50 by 2. Duties, de minimis. So no duties being paid in here. We have our freight, we have our insurance, all of that. Estimated total landed costs, 1K. Right? Yeah. Moving on, oh yes, and you see everything else here being it private to private. Licenses, certificates, all this kind of stuff. You may require an import control on reach, so, which means that the importer may need this, not you. The importer that's receiving it, your friend, may need something like this. It may or may not be applicable, so they can go on to read the regulation and the information on there. And finally, the customs and trade documents that you need, you can download copies over here. Assuming. In case you don't have a sample of a commercial invoice that you want to put forward on it, there you go. So these are like templates that you can use and so on, right? This is an example. Of course, you can save the plan, you can export it as a PDF, you can do all that kind of stuff with it, but at least you have an idea as to everything regarding your shipments. I know you can't really read it, but then again, I'm conscious of time and that's why I'm moving so quickly, right? And so you can kind of have a pre-shipment plan, at least an estimate. You have a ballpark idea, and most importantly, to your customers, they appreciate the fact that you are well informed and now they trust you more than ever before if they didn't already, right? And that's where I'm going to leave it at. Cool? Any questions? I can see people parking, so yeah. Yes.
So with the prohibition as shown on the...
Sorry, if you could, the mic? Yeah.
The prohibitions that came up.
Yes.
So with that, do you have to go ahead to ship or you stop?
No, you can proceed to ship. So keep in mind, the thing is, It's giving you information to be aware, right? If it was going to be something that is, say you're shipping to a country that is sanctioned or embargoed, something of that nature, you would see some harder recommendations against proceeding. But prohibitions is simply saying, yeah, we are warning you, be aware of this. This may come into play, that may come into play in that sense. If we added, if it was for commercial purposes, commercial values were in place and all these kind of things, then you'd see on the landed cost estimator, it will tell you how much duty is going to be applicable. An estimate of how much VAT will become applicable, and. Yeah? Any other questions? I know we are packing. I know this feeling very well. In case you have any questions, if you want to have conversations about pricing and everything, also, my colleagues from DHL Express are here. If you have any other questions, any other thoughts, this is only like 2.5 of a 13 module curriculum that we have. Yeah, 13. But then, yeah, we are very happy to support you guys as much as possible. Thank you very much. Enjoy the traffic.